the Redskins presumably would be interested in certainly two of them. We all think they're going to go Chase Young, but kind of give us your breakdown of each one of those guys, of Chase, Okudah, and of course, who was the third one, Chase? I can't even remember.
From Ohio State?
Yeah, there's always a bunch of them, but kind of give us your breakdown of those two.
Yeah, when you look at the top, I mean, from where Washington sit in the first round, it definitely would be Chase Young and Jeffrey Okudah.
Right.
The thing with Chase that's really nice is he's a plug-and-play guy. Like, you don't have to be a genius as a defensive coordinator to figure out how to use him. You put him on the edge, sit there and let him go. And, I think he's, 10 to 12-year guy and should probably average about 10 sacks a season, if not more. Like, he's that talented. He was that talented when he got to Ohio State. On top of that, he's a really great kid. Like, you take away the athleticism, the explosion, his ability to bend, his strength. Like, he's really honed in his technique, which has helped a lot. But the reason why he did that, like, he comes from a really good family. He's got great parents. There's a history. There's a great piece on NFL.com that talked about it, which I didn't even fully understand, like, the depth of it. But I think his family, between his grandparents, his aunts, uncles, parents, they have like 144 years in some form of law enforcement. And so, like, he's a very disciplined kid. He's worked his butt off. He could have been a first-round draft pick if he just would have showed up at college, spent 3 years there, and walked out. But he chose to get better, and that's why a lot of people view him as the best player in the draft. And then Jeffrey Okudah, very similar, like, has all the tangible stuff you're looking for, but also a great kid. Really, really high-quality human being. Another guy that's really easy for a defensive coordinator to use. He's 6'1", 205, 210 pounds. He can run really well. He's got length. He has good ball skills. He's a willing tackler. You can just put him over there at corner and let him go. And so, like, those two guys, very, very easy to deal with, as opposed to a guy like Isaiah Simmons, who's incredibly talented at Clemson, really, really skilled, can do a ton of things. But you put some onus on a defensive coordinator to say, hey, you have to have a plan for how to use him. Not that that's a bad thing, but you have to have continuity in your defense, and you have to make sure you bring him along and use him in the way that's best, or else you're just driving a Porsche through a school zone. Like, those two guys you can just throw on the edge and let them go.
Right. Yeah, we've been having this discussion over the last couple of weeks, and, I'm not a true Redskin fan like the guy who just asked you that question about the Ohio State kids. But, and I understand that there are holes to fill with this Washington Redskin team. And some guys are convinced that to trade out of the number 2 to acquire 2 or 3 or 4 players is what this team needs. But I don't believe there's a deal out there. I mean, you'd have to blow me away to give up on Chase Young. That's just the way I feel after watching him, especially this past year.
And I don't think you're wrong in saying that. People always say, yeah, trade back. Well, you have to have somebody who's willing to trade up with you. And then where are those picks? I'm not trading back for 2 picks. Like, that's not going to get it done. Like, and everyone's throwing out Miami, so it's the easy comparison. Like, 5 and 18, that's not getting it done for me. I need to pick a high pick in the second round for what I believe Chase Young is worth. And so, yeah, you could trade back. Heck, you could trade back at 5 and just take the 5th pick, but you need more compensation then. That's the point. And I don't know if Miami's going to do that. I think they're playing probably a little game of chicken right now. They may trade up with Detroit, especially when you look at Chase Young. I was talking with a scout, who does a great job, and he asked me a question because he goes, it came up in our meeting where he said, would you be more surprised if Chase Young broke the single-season sack record or never had 10 sacks in a season? And I said I would definitely be more surprised if he never had 10 sacks in a season, because I think that's a guy that's the type of production that you're going to get from him.
Do you believe that Chase Young is an instant success? Bosa was an instant success. All right, Bosa was a stud in college. You obviously saw him a bunch. And he was an instant success. Help Bosa isn't. But compare the speed, compare their techniques. Do you believe he's on that same level coming out?
Chase and Nick have said this. Both of Bosa's have, like, where Chase is probably a little more athletic than those guys, and that's not diminishing how athletic they are. Chase just possesses a rare athleticism for his size, and Chase is a little bigger. I think the Bosas were a little more polished coming out because they were more polished going in to college. They were a little bit ahead of that, given their family history and how skilled and developed they were getting to school. But the reason why Nick was an instant success is he had a great defensive line that he was able to come into. And so there weren't, and he started drawing double teams at the end of the season and even by the middle of the season, but you could not just double him every play because of the talent around him. If Chase is drafted into Washington, I would say that I think he will be an instant success, because if you look at the other rushers around him, there's not the ability just to load up on one guy, because you can always take one pass rusher out of the game, but you can't take 2 or 3 of them out, and that's what Washington has, similar to what San Fran had last season.
So you touched on it there a little bit in terms of being polished. No player's perfect, and he's a young player, so obviously he's going to have his struggles. What are the things that Chase is going to have to work on at the next level?
And so, it's something that, I had watched, and Nick touched on this a lot because he was asked to give an evaluation of him. It's just the fact that he probably doesn't convert to his power rush as much as you'd like. And part of the reason is in college is he's never had to do it. He's so fast and so athletic that he can get around guys without moving or without having to use that much. In the NFL, that's not the case. Like, there's going to be guys that are more athletic. And it's not that he doesn't have it. He has the strength, but it's just going to be the feel of learning, hey, I've got to convert to power more here. I have to make sure I'm setting guys up a little bit better. And it's just a little bit of the game within the game that comes with experience. And I think, Nick Bosa was a little bit further ahead of him than that, just due to his dad and his brother, and making sure that he had the full repertoire that he was using early on. And I think Chase has just been able to get away without using, even though he has it in his bag.